Good evening, folks. This is Ron Tyler with the Emergency Management Associates.
This is Ron Tyler with the Emergency Management Associates coming to you live from the crossroads of the West in Lake City, Utah. The time right now is 7:05 p.m.
It's very clear on the backside of the sun, and the earth is located in the sun hitting the earth is located around 3.5 miles southeast of the earth now. The solar wind is also
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody who's here. Join us here on the Emergency Management Associates Network tonight. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. This is a semi-urgent report. I almost call this an emergency. I'm nearly calling this an emergency, and there's good reason for it. I want to talk to you about some earthquakes here in Imperial County, California, right here as we see it right now. This is a map of Imperial County stretching down into Mexicali, California on the south side of the U.S.-Mexican border. Mexicali has gotten hit with earthquakes since yesterday, and they're continuing today. Currently it shows 20 plus earthquakes, and I dare say that is nearly 40 earthquakes right there. And that's in addition to those 3 earthquakes that you see right at the border and stretching down south of the border of the United States. That 20 plus is actually about 40 earthquakes today. Yesterday we saw 20 earthquakes there. Let me show you that picture right now. I'm sorry, that wasn't it. Go figure. This was it yesterday. 100 earthquakes here down in Heber, California. This is just on the north side of the U.S.-Mexico border. Okay? There were 100 earthquakes down here. That's not a joke. There were 100 earthquakes here. Let me see if I have a better picture, but I think I do. Nope, that's not it. Okay, that's current. This is here. It shows 100 plus earthquakes down here. It says 100 earthquakes. It was over 100 earthquakes, closer to 150 earthquakes there in Heber, California last night. Now, this morning, that is a completely different story. I want to show you what's happened today. Okay? Here we have more than 40 earthquakes up here on the southeast corner of the Salton Sea today. At least 40 plus earthquakes here on the southeastern side of the Salton Sea today. This is a very serious situation. A very serious situation. Now, why am I saying that? I have some things I need to show you now. We have seen some interest here down in Heber like we showed you, but it goes further than that. Over here is a power substation. This is a geothermal power station similar to what we have just south of the Salton Sea. There are five geothermal power stations on the south end of the Salton Sea. This one is over in Nyland, California, over on the eastern side, okay? Just at the very corner of the Salton Sea, over on the southeastern corner, okay? You see, well, actually, this is in Heber. I'm sorry, this is in Heber. We have 6 power stations at the top of this in one bank, and 6 turbines in the second power bank just below that. On the left side, we have 3 on the top and 3 on the bottom. That gives us, folks, quite a few turbines. Okay? We have 18 turbines here in Heber, California. 18 turbines. Look at the earthquakes around the power station. Now, as I've explained in past programs, okay, we have earthquakes in this area around power stations because man has drilled into the upper magma chambers of the Salton Butte volcano. The drill points itself get hit with earthquakes, get hit with seismic energy causing earthquakes. Okay? That is the biggest reason this area around the power stations gets hit, is because seismic energy searches out the area. When it finds a man-made earthquake fault, that's when we get earthquakes. That's when the seismic energy just completely demolishes the rock at the earthquake fault and shakes the earth. Whether it's mild, just minor tremors, or whether it's full-blown earthquakes like we saw yesterday and today. Yesterday, the biggest one we saw was a 4.5. Earlier yesterday, the biggest one we had was a 4.3. And it graduated up from there. The first one was a 4.1, the next one was a 4.3, and that next one last night was 4.5 down here in Heber, California. But it gets better, guys. It gets a lot better. Okay? It gets like this. And it gets worse than this. Okay? Let me show you another power station over in Westmoreland. This is Westmoreland, California. This is on the southwestern side of the Salton Sea. You do not see any earthquakes in this photograph. However, if we went off photo, I could show you probably 8 or 10 earthquakes around this power station. Not at the power station, but around the power station and extending northwestward out towards Salton City on the northwest side of the Salton Sea. Okay? That's one. Let me show you another one. This is Nyland, California, on the southeast side of the Salton Sea. Just not more than 2 miles away from the Salton Butte volcano. Okay? Now, we don't see any earthquakes in this particular picture. But you see the bank of turbines here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 turbines. Let me count that again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Usually we have banks of 8. So this is a bank of 7 turbines here. There's a total of 6 power stations over in the Imperial Valley. Okay? Again, we get the seismic energy hitting drill points that pull steam from the upper magma chambers of the volcano. Okay? And it goes a lot further. Okay? Again, the Heber station. Then we get earthquakes out in the Salton Sea. This earthquake that you're seeing here out in the Salton Sea, that's at Sunny Bono. This is just one of many buttes that stick out of the ground coming into the Salton Sea, coming into the waters of the Salton Sea. It's a butte, from the volcano. What happens, folks, with buttes? Buttes are made when the volcano rises up and it forms small geysers. And those geysers erupt to a certain extent and they don't erupt anymore. It leaves crystalline and magnesium and other particulates as well as dirt and rock forming a butte. A butte. It's like a finger sticking up in the water here. And depending on the water levels, you could go up there and you could also find something else. What do you think you find? I've had a piece of it here. I used to own a great big huge piece of it. It's called volcanic glass. Black volcanic glass. That's what's out here around Sunny Bono and several other sites around the Salton Sea. Buttes sticking up in the ground. They look like a very large finger, just like this. Okay? But we have an earthquake out here, don't we? We have multiple earthquakes out here. Okay? And this one shows 10 plus earthquakes. This is around Nyland and Calipatria area. Okay? For a long, long time now, for a very, very long time, I've been telling you that there are a lot more earthquakes than the agencies want to admit to. Okay, I've shown you the seismogram coming from Calipatria. On multiple occasions, I've shown you that site. Now, why am I talking about that? Because we continue to get hit down here with earthquakes and tremors all over the Imperial Valley. And scientists have not even agreed to what exactly is going on. They don't want to admit a problem. The problem is there are a lot more earthquakes that are hitting this area than they want to admit to. Why? Because they don't want to admit that there's a problem. They don't want to admit there's something wrong. They don't want to admit that somebody's going to get killed, that there will be an eruption or there will be an earthquake. They don't want to let anybody know about it. And we've told you about it before. It comes at no surprise at all to me of exactly what is happening. I'm just telling everybody what's going on. That is all that I'm doing. I want to make sure that everybody is aware of it. Because, folks, now we've had close to 400 earthquakes here. Close to 400 earthquakes in this area. And yet, USGS says, oh, nothing's going on. It's normal. It's normal. Doctors say normal is what's normal for you. And I've made light of that joke for quite some time. But it's beyond a funny joke, ladies and gentlemen. It's way beyond a funny joke. It's no longer a joke. We must let everybody know what is happening. And I'm not going to stop. I'm really not going to stop. This is not a joke. This is absolutely not a joke. And everybody needs to realize it before it's too late. Now, I started reporting on this yesterday. I put messages in my Facebook. I put a message here on YouTube on my community page about possibly having a major earthquake here in Imperial County. Now, last week I played a video for you, which I'm going to play again. There's a reason for it. There's a very good reason for it. Let me play it for you now.
My favorite game of basketball hoop shot.
Keep practicing. Keep practicing.
Yeah. Today marks 13 years since a magnitude 7.2 earthquake shook the desert Southwest.
Our reporter Karina Bazarte takes us back to that moment and shows us how first responders are preparing for the next big quake.
Are you ready? This is a question that the fire department wants to ask residents in preparation of the next shake. April 4th, 2010, Easter Sunday. 13 years ago, Imperial County felt a 7.2 earthquake that damaged several buildings, some even crumbling to the ground in downtown Calexico. The epicenter of the Easter Sunday earthquake was in Guadalupe, Victoria in Baja California, very close to Mexicali. That was the city that saw the most damage, at least 2 deaths, along with 100 injuries. But the quake was also felt in Yuma and Imperial County, and as far as San Diego County in northern Los Angeles.
Did cause some damages in this county of Imperial that thankfully we were able to get a proclamation for support from the state and federal government that was able to reimburse us for those damages.
13 years later, the Imperial County Fire Department says it feels prepared for the next quake.
What you're seeing here in the background right now is we've been holding for the past 2 weeks. We've been holding training that not only supports our staff, but also supports city staffs and special districts as well. They've been attending these trainings to prepare themselves for those situations.
The Imperial Irrigation District says there have been many changes since the earthquake.
Improvements too is communication. So what we want to do is communicate more with our customers. So please follow us on social media.
The IID also says residents need to be prepared for the next shake.
We do live in an earthquake zone. We never know when something's going to happen. So have water available, have flashlights and extra batteries, a transistor radio that doesn't need electricity.
For more information on how to be prepared for the next quake, go to our website at kyma.com. Reporting from Imperial County, I'm Karina Basarte.
Okay, that was a report about the earthquake on April 4th. It was Sunday, April 4th. Okay, 13 years ago. It's not a joke. It's absolutely not a joke. I want to make sure people are ready. Okay? The information that I put out this morning about all of these earthquakes, each of the quakes that we're having now in the Imperial Valley are new since yesterday. With that said, we've had over 150 plus earthquakes that have already hit the Imperial Valley in the past 24 to 30 hours. There is a tectonic plate upheaval in the southern side of the Imperial Valley. And then we have the Salton Butte volcano that's getting ready to go. Now, I don't necessarily think it's getting ready to go. However, there's a lot of upheaval over there. There is seismic energy hitting those man-made earthquake faults, those drill points. That's what I think is going on. However, we're seeing activity out in the middle of the Salton Sea at those buttes. That tells me that the volcano is rumbling. Now, while I don't think that the Salton Butte volcano is going to erupt, we've seen crazier things happen. The entire Imperial Valley could change in the blink of an eye. Magnitudes 4.1 up to 4.5 yesterday. Now it's 4.3 and 4.5 up near Nyland, California, Calipatria area. That means we've had an increase in magnitude of 40% higher than yesterday. Now, I think we really need to get serious and take a very real look at what's going on in the Imperial Valley. Today it could change. It could completely change from the way it was even 3 or 4 days ago. Now, my friend Larry, who lives down in Central America in Belize, he said this morning, any minute. And I said, yes, possibly any minute. And I put out a warning over on Facebook. And I put a warning out in our Facebook groups in Messenger. I put out a warning yesterday over on our YouTube page, on the community page. We could see a major earthquake. We've seen this same thing happen 13 years ago. I was there. Now, we could start with a jump up to 5s next time. Instead of 4.1s, 4.3s, up and 4.5s, we could see a jump to 5.0, 5.2, 5.5, or even 6s. But if we have history to take a look at, we could end up seeing another 7.2 at the border, near Guadalupe, Victoria, Mexico, near Mexicali, just east of Mexicali. Another 150 earthquakes today, and climbing. Yesterday, the largest magnitude was 4.1 and 4.3. Today, it went to 4.385, and it also went up to 4.5. This, again, is a 40% increase in size in 24 hours. Nyland, Calipatria, Bombay Beach, and Ocotillo Wells is adding to the fray. It looks like Southern California is about to unzip. Now, I want to say this, and I'm hoping people will pay attention. Anyone in Southern California needs to be on warning that this earthquake is about to be unleashed, and it will be dangerous. I'm not going to mince words. This could be another 7.2 magnitude earthquake. We had that 13 years ago. It killed 2 people and injured over 200 and caused millions of dollars of damage all over Southern California from Los Angeles south to Mexicali. All residents in the entire Imperial Valley County, San Diego County, Riverside, San Bernardino counties should feel some parts of these quakes when they happen. You all need to prepare now. I'm putting out the warning. I want and expect people to pay attention, please. If I end up calling this off, so be it. But the evidence is here, and the evidence is very clear. Every time we've seen these kinds of swarms of earthquakes, they rarely go down and just go away. We saw that happen only once up at Mount Hood. USGS had issued a yellow warning for a yellow advisory, they issued a yellow cautionary advisory that Mount Hood may erupt. They have not done anything down here because this volcano has not erupted in a very, very, very long time. I believe most of this seismic activity is just that. Tectonic plate movement, earthquake movement. I do not believe all this activity is magmatic. Please, folks, you need to have emergency preparedness kits. You need to go a bit farther than that man from the Imperial Valley Water District. You need to have an emergency preparedness kit. You need to have first aid equipment. You need to have an emergency preparedness plan, whether it's you shelter in place or you evacuate and bug out to a different location. And in that case, you need to have a set plan on where you're going to go and how you're going to get there. Not just one place, but several places, because the first 1 or 2 places you might want to go to may be all full up, or you can't get in. And if you get on a roadway that's got blockades, roadblocks, everything else, you're done for. You're not going to go any further. Use surface streets for as much as possible. Know your way around your town. Have several routes if you picked out. Have several destinations you picked out ahead of time. Put them on a map. Do not rely on this thing. This thing will do nothing but put you in trouble. Why? Because if the cell towers don't go down, you're not going to have GPS either. Because GPS are connected to your cell carriers. If your cell carriers can't get to the GPS satellite, you're done for. You need to have a map. Now, emergency supply kits, food storage. What have you got in the way of food storage to last you days, weeks, or even months? What have you got in the way of camping equipment in case you have to bug out? What can you put in your car? What can you take with you? Do you have clothes for the weather that may take place while you're either bugged out, shelter in place? You need to think about that. Is your car in good condition? You need to check it as soon as possible. This earthquake isn't playing games. I don't think this earthquake is playing games with us. I'm being very serious here. I couldn't be more serious. We've seen seismic energy build up in the south of Mexico. I called it just a couple years ago when we had a 7.2 earthquake in southern Mexico, and I said probably within the next 24 to 72 hours we'd have it hit in Southern California. The next day, that 7.2 hit in Big Pine, California, Southern California. I called it. Folks, I believe I'm calling it again. I'm asking for everybody to be prepared. Richard Smith says a 4.1 just hit in Oaxaca, Mexico. That happens all the time. There are a bunch of 4s and 3s down there. It's building up to another a 5.0 to even 6.0, maybe even 7 down in southern Mexico. That's happening. I'm being very understanding, and I believe I'm being very real here. Okay? Do not underestimate this. Don't underestimate it. Animals and Disasters is here. It says you don't know how bad it is outside with earthquakes. Okay? You don't want to get trapped. You don't want to get trapped. One earthquake may leave a huge fissure in the roadway, or it may drop your house into a hole, or drop your car into a hole. The next earthquake can be done for. Yes, we've had small earthquakes before, and then all of a sudden the big one strikes. You need to be aware of it. Jamie Wilkie is asking about Seattle, Washington. Seattle, Washington has really nothing to do with Southern California. But you folks in Seattle, Washington, and Oregon, and Northern California need to be aware. We have seismic energy coming out of Alaska. We've seen a 6 happen just off of Sandpoint, Alaska, in the peninsula of Alaska. That seismic energy is going around the Gulf of Alaska, and it's coming down the southeastern side, the southwestern side of Canada into the United States. Northern California has got seismic energy locked up, and it could release at any time. However, we've also got the Cascadia megathrust earthquake we're looking at. All of you know that we've been watching it. We've been covering it. It can still happen. I've given you the parameters for the Cascadia megathrust earthquake. But the fact of the matter still is, there's seismic energy locked up in the Gulf of Alaska. There's seismic energy locked up off of Seattle. There's seismic energy locked up down off of San Francisco. And it's just ready to go off. We've seen a swarm of earthquakes all over the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. We've seen a recent uptick in earthquake activity in Los Angeles and out in Riverside County and San Bernardino County. Now we're seeing a huge uptick in seismic activity in Imperial County. And I'm not joking here. Over 300 to 400 earthquakes within 48 hours time period. And we're still going. Please, folks, I need you to get prepared. I need you to get prepared. Right On says Seattle historically gets 7.0 earthquakes. 7.0 all the way up to 9.0, 10.0. Okay? In 1700, there was a very, very major earthquake off the coast of Seattle. I've given you parameters for it before. It was a 9.0 to 10.0 earthquake. It's coming again. It's 223 years past due. Excuse me, it's 32 years past due. They thought it was going to happen 32 years ago. Now we're in 2023. It's way overdue. I'm wanting to give you a heads up. Everybody needs to pay attention to this. Okay? Right on says people don't have any idea it's a silent risk until it pops. And when it pops, it's too late. People die. People get hurt. And I'm talking thousands upon thousands of people get hurt. Thousands of people, they're talking 1,700 people dying within the first 24 hours after the Cascadia megathrust earthquake. What happened in 1994 with the Northridge earthquake? What happened within 24 hours after the Sylmar quake or the Devore quake? What happened in 1989 in October during the World Series? A 6.9. Hundreds of people killed, thousands injured. The San Francisco Bay Bridge down, cars into the bay. This could happen again. Now, I know I'm talking very negative here, but I'm talking very positive. If we prepare, we shall not fear. You need to be prepared. Know where your preparedness equipment is, including your camping equipment. Know everything that you need to take with you in terms of family pictures and very special things that you want to take with you, including insurance and title paperwork for your home and your car, your checkbook, checking account, your banking information, stocks and bonds if you have them, gold and silver if you have them. What are you going to take? Make sure you take your emergency supply kit with the cash of money that you've been saving for a rainy day, an earthquake day. Know what you have and know where it's at so you can get at it very quickly. You may not have much time at all. Okay? I'm giving you the warning now. When we have this kind of situation in any county, they should be issuing advisories, if not complete warnings. I've been watching this for at least 72 hours now. It's been building and building and building and getting higher and more risky by the day. I'm being very serious. You need to take this seriously. I don't come on a day I usually take off unless there is an emergency, and I believe that's where we're at. I'm giving you emergency information right now. Decide what you want to do with it. Please, folks, make sure you share this information with those you love and care about. All up and down the entire California fault system. Please, especially if you live in San Diego, in the Imperial Valley, in Los Angeles area. When the last earthquake hit 13 years ago, April 4th, the earthquake was felt all the way up into Los Angeles, all the way out into San Bernardino, all the way out into Arizona, San Diego. Glass fell out of skyscrapers in San Diego. Nobody got killed. I saw a video yesterday where people at a Chili's didn't even get underneath a table when the lights in the restaurant were swinging back and forth like this. And I'm not kidding. The lights in the restaurant were swinging back and forth radically. I wouldn't want to sit in a restaurant or anywhere else where the lights were swinging very dangerously like that. I'd have gotten underneath the table or gotten out. And somebody in the restaurant said, "Oh, this is hard. This shaking is hard." And yet nobody moved. When shaking is hard, guys, that's when it is dangerous. You need to know what's going on. Pay attention. If you feel shaking, get underneath a heavy table or a table of any kind for whatever reason you have. The best thing to do is get under a table and hold on. Duck, cover, and hold on. Duck, cover, something over your head and body, and hold on. That's the proper way to approach an earthquake. If there's no place to go, get the heck out if you can. But be aware, if you have masonry on the outside, brick and block, it could fall. There is unreinforced masonry all over. It could fall. If you get out, go to an area with no trees and no light poles or power poles that can fall on you. No buildings anywhere around. Get out in the open area. Don't take chances. Okay? Does anybody have a question? Chris Miller says there's a fault that goes under the Columbia River in my home county, and there's minor earthquakes and tremors that are always happening, and it caves on the bottom of the river so the ships can't go through. You're right, it does. Lama's Light said, will you get out of your car? Possibly. When I was in California, in San Diego, there was an earthquake one afternoon, and I first noticed it because my truck was shaking. I had a truck with a camper shell, and it was shaking out of my mind. I mean, really badly shaking. Then I looked up, and power poles around me were swaying like this. That was not just a moderate earthquake. It was not a small earthquake. That was a large earthquake. It was a 5.6, 5.7. The power poles were swaying all over the place. It looked like they were going to break. So I was thinking maybe I was still in drive, which I was not. I had parked my truck next to the curb. I started and got out of Dodge because I was near those power poles, and those power poles could snap and hit me. I was not anywhere around. I got out of there. I would expect you to do the same. Don't get near any power poles. If you live in earthquake country like this and you have swarms and swarms, hundreds and hundreds of earthquakes, don't park in your garage. Park out away from your house, out away from power poles and trees and light poles. You don't want to get squished. Okay? Animals and Humans in Disaster says the quake area is 75 miles from Yuma, Arizona. All that land is census points, 100 to 500 people here and there, except in places like Holtville, or Brawley, or Imperial, or Westmoreland, or Calipatria, and El Centro. El Centro probably has a population of 35,000 to 40,000 people there right now, maybe a little bit larger. Brawley used to be a town of 5,000. It's probably 25,000 now. The same thing with Holtville. You need to be aware of it. Be aware of your surroundings. Margaret Menifee says, Ron, I heard rumblings in Little Rock yesterday. I did not feel any tremors. I live on the Pneumatic Fault. Can we hear rumblings without feeling tremors? Yes, you can. That means the fault is scraping like this. The pneumatic fault is a slip fault like this. A lateral slip fault like this. The slip is moving. The fault is moving. The rocks are rubbing together. That's what you're hearing. Okay? That's what you're hearing. Aubrey's asking, what is magma doing at the Salton Sea? Do you have any seismographs? Yes, there are seismographs all over that area. What does magma have to do with it? You know what the Salton Sea is named after? The same volcano that it's sitting over, that the water is sitting over. It's called the Salton Butte Volcano. I talked about that just a few minutes ago. Okay? That volcano is not sleeping. It's very active. It's not inactive at all. It's very active. Okay? I've been talking about earthquakes in the Imperial Valley for 2 or 3 years now. This is the worst that I've seen in a while. We've had 2 5.0s in the last 3 years that I've been broadcasting down in the Imperial Valley. We had one near Brawley and one over in the northeastern part of San Diego County up in the Anza-Borrego Desert area. It was called the Anza-Borrego State Park. It was a 5.1 magnitude earthquake. In fact, now scientists are saying it probably was a 5.2. It was felt all over the entire region. And I believe, and I didn't do that much research before on that, but I believe it was probably closer to a 6. When USGS says something's a 6 or 5.2, it's usually a lot larger than it was. When that earthquake first hit, they said it was a 4.5. They were dead wrong. They were dead wrong. Margaret Menifee says, how can I find seismographs online? Go over to, let me pull up my, okay. Go over to the Southern California Seismic Network.org. SCSN.org. SCSN.org. /network/recent-web-quarter-displays/index.html. Okay? Southern California Seismic Network. Okay? There's a whole slug. There's a whole slug of seismographs up and down Southern California. From Santa Barbara south over into San Diego and Imperial County. Literally all over that area. Okay? In fact, let me show you a map where these seismographs are at. So you'll know, or you'll have some kind of idea about it anyway. Hold on a second, I'm taking a screenshot of it. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, this is the map that the Southern California Seismic Network has. Every triangle here represents a seismograph in this area that the Caltech monitors. And once or twice a week, they will show you current seismograms in this area. Okay, now I need to preface that. Some seismographs will not put out any information at all. The seismographs will be completely blank because the unit is either turned off or it's turned so far down that it's not printing up any information. But the seismographs that are active are putting out information. Caltech silenced the information for a long time, about 2 months, because I was showing it, and they knew it. They knew it. But they have seismographs all over Southern California throughout this same area. Now, one of the seismographs that Caltech has, that the Southern California Seismic Network has, I'll show it to you right now. It's called Calipatria. I show this usually on Monday nights. This is a seismogram that I'm showing you right now. It's good today. Okay, look at the tremors and earthquakes that hit last night. The top of this seismogram shows data from yesterday. Okay, it started off at 3 p.m., 1500 hours yesterday afternoon. Look closely at it. Okay, this is up on the southern side of the Salton Sea. Calipatria is over on the southeastern side of the Salton Sea. But look at these other earthquakes. Look at these other earthquakes that happened last night. They cut off the top and the bottom of these seismic events, didn't they? They don't want to admit how strong these earthquakes are. That's why they cut off the top and the bottom of them. I believe that they're not even being honest with us when they tell us there was a 4.5 up there, up near Calipatria. Look at how many of them there are. It's not just one, it's not just two, but there was 4 of them right here. 4 of them I'm showing you right here before 5 o'clock this morning. Look what we have here. Okay? We have an earthquake over on the right that's heavy in red. The red is generated by the internet, by the computer, getting the seismologist's attention saying, hey, you need to look at this. But look closely at this one on the right. This one was just after 12 noon today, probably about 12:28 today. The top and the bottom of this has been cut off. This would show us probably a 2.5 earthquake right here. But the top and the bottom of this cotton picker have been cut off. That tells me that this earthquake was a lot stronger than that. Okay, look at that. Look at all the other tremors here as well. They are not reporting all the tremors. Right now they're saying there's 20 tremors out there today. Right now. Look at all of them that are out here. Okay, let me real quickly. I'm going to count down here, starting at the bottom. I'm going to count 20 tremors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, I don't even have to go back to any more than 13:18 this afternoon, which is 1:18 this afternoon. I didn't even go up an inch, maybe an inch and a quarter from the bottom of this seismogram to count 20 tremors. Look at all the tremors there today. Look at that earthquake over here on the right. And I'm talking about right there. Right there. That happened just after 4:30, well, it's probably closer to 4:39 a.m. this morning. They cut off the top and the bottom of it. Looking at this right here, it'd probably be a 2.8, 2.9. They cut off the bottom and top of it, it's probably a lot larger than that. Probably 4.0. Look at these other quakes that happened before that. This is what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot more seismic activity than they're talking about. They do not want to show us the truth. These agencies have not been telling us the truth for a very, very, very long time. Okay? This is what's happening. This is what's happening. Let me pull up this other quake here. Hold on a second. Look at that. This was early this morning. They're admitting that there was a 4.5 earthquake up here at Nyland, California. What about these others? They are not reporting any of these other larger quakes. They may have been a lot larger than that. That's what I'm saying. They lie to us, they cheat us, they don't tell anybody anything. I'm being very serious, guys. This is now go time. I'm not saying to bug out right now, but I'm saying get ready to. Get your stuff ready. I couldn't be more subtle than I'm already being. Okay? This here was at 5:07 a.m. yesterday. 5:07 a.m. yesterday. Over 100 earthquakes near Heber, California. Do I have to say more? So far I know of, there's at least 300 to 400 earthquakes here in Imperial County. They don't want to even admit to it. Okay? They don't want to admit to it. And there's a reason. There's a power station. There's a picture of another power station at Westmoreland. There's the power station in the center of this picture with a bunch of earthquakes around it. Okay, this up here, upper part, left side of your screen right here, that's a Sonny Bono crater. Okay, the Sonny Bono Butte. It says 10 plus earthquakes there. Really? You want us to believe that after I already showed you all the earthquakes and tremors? There's a lot more than 10 plus there. There's probably close to 200 earthquakes here in the Imperial Valley that they do not want us to know about. Now is the time to get ready, guys. It's go time. Does anybody have any questions before I get out of here? Michael McKinney says when the big one hits, there will be chaos. We are not adequately prepared. That's what I'm saying. Okay? You need to understand what is going on. You need to understand this. Does anybody have any questions? Sleeping Volcano says Palm Springs, Sally. Palm Springs is shaking. Yes, Sally Vella, Sonny Bono was a senator. He died in office. He was skiing over in Utah, and he hit a tree. Killed himself. Sally Valley says there's no solution to the problem, and that's why they don't want to tell anybody. Oh, there's a solution. They can tell people. Politicians don't want them to. The politicians want to stay employed. As long as there are people living there, those people are going to pay taxes. They're going to pay taxes to keep the city going, to keep the lights on, to keep the police having a job, and to keep the roads paved and fixed. If the people leave, nobody to fix the roads, no traffic lights, no electricity, businesses close up, they move on, people move away, and the politicians end up on the street with nobody to lead, nobody to tell them what to do. That's why the politicians are telling USBS not to talk about what's going on. That's what's going on. I just showed you a seismogram from down in the Imperial Valley, and that's just one of many. If I had time, I could show you one in Westmoreland. I could show you the Salton Sea Desert Research Station in Holtville. I could show you a seismogram from Imperial County, or excuse me, the Imperial City, the town of Imperial. I could show you one at Calipatria, and I could show you one out at El Centro. They're all busy. They're all showing activity. Every one of them. Every one of them. That's what's going on. The politicians are behind it. It's all about money. All about putting money in the politicians' pocketbooks. Bob Sullivan says, I'm in Rancho Cucamonga. I've been feeling little tremors lately. I already have my bug out bag ready years ago. That's great. Bob, that's exactly what we want to see. Rancho Cucamonga is going to get nailed. The area around Upland, Rancho Cucamonga, Loma Linda, that whole area. Riverside, when it finally gets hit, it won't be distinguishable as it is today. Right On says Southern California nuke plant was decommissioned, but the cells are still there. Oh yeah. Can you say San Onofre? Yeah. Folks, if you guys Michael McKinney says we have the Diablo nuclear power plant generating station at San Onofre. Yeah. And San Onofre. San Onofre's been decommissioned now. Okay? Crazy. You guys up in Washington have Hanford. It's not a good place either. I can show you seismic energy there. And not just that. There's magma running beneath those burial mounds. Those great big huge hills. They're storing nuclear materials inside the hills. Okay? Crazy. It's insane. And Isaiah's granny, I showed you guys out in Victorville a seismogram showing a lot of small tremors the other day. No earthquakes, but small tremors all over that area. It's crazy. Richard Smith says 3.2 in Luzon, Philippines. That's not surprising either. That area is literally in the middle of the 7 plates that are moving. One subducting under another. That's why those earthquakes are hitting. Now folks, get prepared. We may not have another broadcast before this thing hits. I'm asking that everybody gets prepared. We may not have any more time. This could happen at any time. We've seen it happen that way before. We've seen it happen before. Let's not see it again. Let's be prepared this time. Everybody, you need to be prepared, please. Bob Sullivan says, I'm a geography teacher for the public schools in the Inland Empire. And I've been warning my students for many years now. And I appreciate that, Bob. I really do. That's what everybody should be doing. That's what everybody should do. Shelley says the solution the leadership has to choose is to tell people to get out of town now, including them. But they won't. They won't have power after that. They keep people with them. And that's how people will get killed. That's how people get injured. Yes, Michael, you're fortunate not to be anywhere near skyscrapers, or not in a skyscraper. Okay, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I hope you have a good evening. I really do. Those of you in Southern California, get ready. If you're not in Southern California and you have family and friends over there in the Imperial Valley and San Diego and LA, get prepared. San Diego and LA and even over into Arizona, you guys are going to feel this quake. Get prepared and get prepared now. Get some equipment. Get some food. Get some water. And a lot of water at that. It's getting hot in that there desert. And yes, I said that there. Woohoo! I'm a hillbilly now. Have a good night, folks. God bless you. And I mean that. God bless you. God be with you until we see you tomorrow night. If anything else happens tonight, I promise you that we will be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Until then, take it easy. God be with you till we meet again. We will see you on the other side. See you later, guys. Good night. Folks, I also need to tell you this. Please, everyone, check your subscriptions. Make sure you're still subscribed. YouTube has been unsubscribing a lot of people, and I think we've lost some subscribers here. Please check your subscriptions. And with that, when you do that, click on that bell icon that's there. When you see that drop-down menu of 3 items, click on the word all, A-L-L. Make sure you get notified when we come on the air, although YouTube doesn't even do that hardly at all. Please do that, guys, and invite your friends and neighbors and loved ones, your extended family, your people you work with and you associate with on social media. Invite them all to view this channel and this program tonight. Thank you very much, guys. We will see you later.